Hello, thank you for joining us today on another adventure in real estate. Today, we've got Miss Patti Dickerson with us today, Virginia Title Center. She's going to, we're going to change things up here a little bit, and I've gotten some questions from you guys as viewers, and one of those questions was, can I shop title insurance? And so I couldn't think of anyone better to ask that question than Miss Patti. And so Miss Patti, tell us a little bit. You've talked a little bit about title insurance before, but when we talk about title insurance and specifically shopping that, is that something that's even, that a person as a buyer of a home, is that something that someone could do?
Most definitely, Steve. Borrower and purchasers have the right to choose their own title and settlement company.
Okay.
There's a lot of variables involved. With the two types of policies we talked about before, with the lender's policy that the lender requires, and the owner's policy that's optional but recommended. The rates are pretty much set across the different underwriters. We underwrite through Investors Title out of Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Residential rates can't be negotiated.
Okay.
So there's other fees that really an individual needs to look at.
Okay.
When someone calls me and asks to provide a quote when they're looking to purchase a home, I use our quote calculator on our website. I ask them to give me the zip code, the purchase price, the loan amount, and we kind of go from there. And it breaks down all the fees that they can expect at closing, with the exception of the lender's fees. For the title fees, there's going to be upfront the search fee, which can range from $125 to $175. The commitment fee, which is the underwriter's review of the search to determine if there's any requirements or exceptions, that's $65. And then, of course, the lender's and owner's policy is based on the loan amount and the purchase price. And we'll talk a little bit about some differences there. And then you look at the settlement fees, and that's probably where you're going to see the widest range of differences between companies. For us, we do a settlement fee, a flat fee of $450. A deed prep fee is a pass-through service from our attorney. It's $105. And then at the end, to update the title and record it, it's $50. So it's pretty cut and dry what those are. I always encourage folks to ask others when they're getting a quote if they charge fees to send wires or FedEx, because those are all, we don't charge extra for those. That's all part of our
It's all inclusive.
All one fee, correct?
Right.
And folks want to make sure that they are getting an apples to apples quote on the type of owner's policy, because there are actually two different kinds.
Okay.
The basic owner's policy is what we quote. It covers just about everything that's necessary from the time of the purchase backwards. There's also an Alta's homeowner's policy, which is kind of an enhanced policy, and it costs about 20% more than the basic policy. And that also covers some things after the policy's been written.
Okay.
So a few things like that. One of them that is interesting, it provides actual vehicular and pedestrian access to property, because access to property is one of the things that's required for clear title. But that's can be a gray area. You can have access and it can be adjacent to a road, but from the road to the property it could be straight up, but that's considered access. So the enhanced policy gives the folks actual pedestrian or vehicular. It covers that. So it is restricted to platted subdivisions in under 25 acres. So probably a lot of places in Franklin County aren't going to be
may not work for
them. But the basic policy, it's more affordable, and it's what we recommend.
Okay.
Some other things that the enhanced one covers was forgery affecting title. And they've seen a lot of that in Florida with the snowbirds going home and then people coming in, they know they're gone.
I see.
And they sell their houses out from under them.
So they just come in and
say a property's for sale, it's not theirs, they forge everything, and new owners come in, and those snowbirds come back, and somebody else is living in their house. So that's one of those things that. Another one is encroachments of neighbors' buildings on your land. Surveys are very important going into it, but even after you purchase the home, your neighbor could put an outbuilding, and he may not be looking at the survey, and half of his building may be on your property. And so that enhanced policy covers things like that to help remedy that situation.
Okay. And the choice of whether you want to, and I'm going to use, this may not be the right term, but a basic policy and an enhanced policy, that choice comes, that's a conversation that you would have with me, the buyer, that's there at, prior to closing. And you lay out just very similar to what you just talked about here, the different options, the different costs associated with that.
Right, and we have a nice chart that kind of side by side compares them, and we can sit at the table, because they can make that decision right at the closing table too. And so we can go over it with them there, the closer will do that.
All right.
So.
And, I guess when you talked about those different policies, and each policy has a different, I think we mentioned the fees that we talked about there, but are there you talked about those other differences, anything else that would separate those two things, fees and the different?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to the company.
Okay.
Responsiveness of the company. When I get an email from the website, I try to either call them or email them back immediately, even if it's on a weekend, because I want to show them that we're responsive. And the knowledge of the staff. We have tenured folks, and I think that really adds a lot to the table. And they're community oriented. I think it's important, and I've mentioned to you before how much I believe in giving back to both the industry and the community. So I think those are questions that folks should ask. They should understand, how are they involved in the community?
Sure. No, that makes for me, it makes a big difference, and certainly I prefer to do business with people that are involved in the community and interested in giving back. So, yes, ma'am. All right. So, if I'm the buyer and I'm interested in shopping my title insurance, which I don't know how many people ever question you about that. My belief is it's a pretty small percentage of the folks that come in that say, hey, look, I'd like to shop my title insurance. But I guess from the standpoint of if I come in and I'm interested in doing that, you're ready to, it's not a big deal for you you'll share with them, you give them some options as far as sharing with them who they might could contact and go approach it that way if the buyer is interested in doing that. Right.
Well, we underwrite exclusively through one underwriter, and so if they choose to work with us, it's going to be through that one underwriter. I could recommend some of our competitors to them who may underwrite through other companies to get quotes as well. Okay.
All right. Well, that was one of the questions we'd gotten through some feedback. We invite everyone to reach out and share information, ask questions, whether it be through our Facebook page or any of our social media outlets, or we've certainly got an email address, text message, whatever works. From that standpoint, we welcome any questions, but hopefully this helps out a little bit on the question about shopping title insurance. And I always ask, Patti, do we leave anything out? Is there anything that you wanted to get to here that we didn't talk about?
No, folks have questions, want to get a quote, just give us a call, get on our website. I'm always happy to walk folks through what all of the fees are and the process as a whole of what they can expect.
Sure. No, I would agree. Always seems like you guys are very, very willing to share and help out, and we appreciate that, Patti. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Steve.
That's going to wrap it up for today's adventure in real estate. We'll see you next time.